Hey guys, are we live? Let me know if the audio is coming through okay, and let me know if the picture quality is all right. Let me adjust my phone a little bit here. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, I think that's just gonna have to work. There we go. Sorry guys. I'm trying to do this setup a little bit different today because I was not able to find any lights. There were no lights that would help. So I was forced to kind of have to redo my setup and try to have this camera expose my face instead of the background, because if it sees the background too much, it'll expose it, overexpose the background, it'll darken my face. But if I can get just a little bit of the curtain in the picture, it brings my face out a little bit. So that's what we're going to do. All right, that still doesn't look good. All right, we're just gonna have to deal with that. So, Daniel C. wanted me to say a few things. He's our moderator. There is going to be like a 30-second delay in this live stream, just to let you know. And that means if you give me a super chat or if you ask me a question, it's going to take me a while to see it and respond to it. And links are allowed. So if like Daniel C. or one of our moderators posts a link to our Discord server, for example, that is allowed. And slow mode is on, so you can only post every 15 seconds. So hopefully that'll stop people from spamming, because I know we had that issue last week. Now, just like every week, there's going to be quite a few people in the chat watching the stream. So I won't be able to get to everyone's question. So if you want to make sure your question gets answered, just leave a super chat, which is a little donation through the live chat box, because that'll highlight your question and then I'll be able to answer it. Or make sure you join our Discord server, which is free. You have to be at least 13 years old. And then you can post your question there. After the stream ends, I'll go over there, take all the questions, and answer them in a short Q&A video that I post on our Discord server. So let's get started answering your questions for this week. The Best starts us off with a $5 super chat. Thank you, The Best. Nice to see you here this week. They said, who do you think is going to win, Logan Paul or KSI? I think Logan Paul is going to win. Are they doing another fight? I didn't know that. Is there a reason why they're doing... Oh, is this the rematch? Because I think they tied, like, technically the first time. I'm really not into that whole side of YouTube. I don't follow Logan or Jake Paul. I don't follow KSI or any of that. So it really doesn't matter to me. Craft Vivo said, how is it daytime? OMG. I'm actually in Japan. So in Japan, it's noon right now. But probably if you're in a different country, if you're in the US, it's probably nighttime. Vet Dung Lei said, "What do you think about the iPhone 10? Is it worth buying right now?" It depends on how cheap you can get it. If you can find an iPhone 10 that's half the price of an iPhone 11, maybe it is worth getting the iPhone 10, and especially if the iPhone 11 is out of your budget. But there are quite a few improvements over the iPhone 10 that the iPhone 11 has, like the wide angle camera, better battery life, better processor, I think microphone improvements, audio improvements. So if you can afford the iPhone 11 and it's not out of your budget, I would recommend the 11. But the iPhone 10 is still a great phone in 2019. Shiny Plays said, "How old are you?" "I'm 26. Lil Boy 2B says, "Why doesn't the iPhone 11 have the word iPhone on the back?" Yeah, so the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro is the first model of iPhones, the first generation, to not feature the word iPhone on the back. And I think it's a good move. I think design-wise, it looks better. And having the word iPhone on the iPhone isn't really necessary anymore. It's kind of redundant because it's so popular. When you see someone with an iPhone, you know it's an iPhone based on its design, not because it says the word on the back. And also, I think Apple may have planned reverse wireless charging for the iPhone 11, but then delayed it to next year. Or maybe they're just getting us ready for next year, because by moving the Apple logo to the center of the back of the iPhone, it'll sort of give us a target of where to place products to wirelessly charge on your iPhone 11. Or what the iPhone 11s or whatever iPhone is coming out next year. Enchanted Gaming said, "How tall are you?" I'm pretty sure I'm 5'11". My mom thinks I'm 6 feet, but I'm pretty sure I'm like 5'11 and a half, in that range. We have a super chat from Shiji, from Ma, actually. I remember I kept pronouncing his name wrong, so he told me to call him Ma. So thank you, Ma, for the $2 super chat. He said, "Do you have Dolby Atmos enabled? Can you hear the difference?" So I just kind of recently discovered what Dolby Atmos was when I went shopping for my OLED TV and a soundbar. And I went to Micro Center and I asked the guy, like, what is the point of Dolby Atmos and how do I know that a soundbar is compatible with it? And he sort of said, well, most modern soundbars and sound systems say they're compatible with Dolby Atmos, but the difference or the performance depends on the sound system, because I guess like even smartphones are saying they're compatible with Dolby Atmos, but what does that mean? Like, it's a smartphone speaker. So I think he said in order to really tell the difference and really take advantage of Dolby's technology, you have to buy one of those sound bars that have speakers facing the ceiling, and it sort of like it has speakers bounce sound off of the walls and going toward you. So it's more of a surround sound feeling. I think that's the point, and that's how you take advantage of it. But other than that, I'm not really sure what the difference or how you would tell the difference between Dolby Atmos and one that isn't. It's just Russell said, do you live in Japan? No, I'm just visiting for a few months. Gage Killingsworth, what a great last name. Why do you sound different in your videos than in real life? Yeah, I get this a lot. People always say, are you really the guy that narrates the videos because you sound so different? When I make my videos, I write out a script. It's like 2,000 words. And then when I record the audio, I'm just reading from my script. So that means I'm not talking in a conversational tone like we are right now. It's more of a professional thing, I feel. So naturally, I just sort of use a professional tone to make sure my voice is clear and to make sure people can understand what I'm saying, and to kind of make it, like a enjoyable sounding voice, which is different than my natural voice. Miss Phoenix said, what was the first Apple product you ever bought by yourself? That was the iPod 5G, or the iPod Video, back in 2005, I believe, which would have made me 12 years old. Yeah, Jonathan McIntosh said his sister just bought an iPhone 10 for $400. Like, if you go to like swappa.com, swappa.com, you can find some pretty good deals on the iPhone 10. Garrett said, how are you liking the AirPods Pro? I'm still getting used to the new fit in the ear. Sound quality to me is awesome though. Yeah, if you've been watching reviews of the AirPods Pro, it's kind of incredible how wide of a range of opinions you hear about the sound quality on AirPods Pro. Some people are saying the sound quality is the same as AirPods 2. Some people are saying, oh, the sound is like way better than the standard AirPods. And that's how I feel. I think the sound quality is much, much better than AirPods. Even if you turn off noise cancellation, because some people were saying, oh, the only reason why it sounds better is because the noise cancellation is allowing the audio to come through clearer. And while, yes, I think that's a factor, I don't think that's the only factor. I think Apple did improve the sound quality. I think they improved the actual speaker technology in the earbud, because the bass is like at least 5 times better than in the AirPods. And I love the noise cancellation, but yeah, the fit, you do have to get used to it. If you experience discomfort, try a larger size ear tip or a smaller size, because even if you put in the mediums and you passed the ear tip fit test, that only means that there's no sound leaking. That doesn't mean that's the optimal size for your ear shape. So I still recommend trying different sizes to see which one feels the most comfortable. And then you can use the ear tip fit test just to verify that there is no sound leaking from your ear. All right, we have more super chats that I have missed. Let me make sure I get to them. Firas Abueda, thank you for your $5 super chat. I'm glad to see you here this week. They said, is battery life better from the iPhone 10 to the iPhone 11 standard? Yes, because the iPhone 10R had better battery life than the iPhone 10. And I think the iPhone 11 has an hour extra battery than the iPhone 10R. So if you're going from the 10 to the 11, you will see, I think, a noticeably improved battery life. ProGamer303 said, do you own an iPad? Yes, that's actually what I'm using right now to read the live chat. I have an iPad Pro. Sheldon Williams, thank you for your $2 super chat. They said, what's the biggest cultural difference between Japan and the US? I think one of the most noticeable differences is just how people behave in public, how people interact with each other. Um, it's much different than in the US, at least where I'm from, because I'm from Ohio. In the Midwest, I think we're known for being like really friendly in public and chatting to strangers and being friendly and smiling. In Japan, you don't do that. Like, you don't just smile at a stranger. That would be considered like kind of weird or creepy if you just smile at someone. So everyone is very much, they look serious. They're very to themselves. No one is really talking to each other or being friendly. Um, so I think that was a big difference I had to get used to because I was so accustomed to being friendly to people, like a waitress or a cashier worker. But you don't really do that here. Joe Cauldron said, "Is the iPhone 7 still worth it?" Yes, I think the iPhone 7 technology, it's only a few years old, so I think it has another 2 or 3 years left in it, especially considering uh, recent technology is built to last longer than 5 years ago or some of the early iPhones that became obsolete pretty quickly. And the iPhone 7, you can get it for $150, I think, maybe even $125. So it's a really good deal. Ninja Zamak said, "What series Apple Watch is most worth it?" I think the Series 4 is the Apple Watch to get. Get one used from eBay or swappa.com. You can get a Series 4 Apple Watch, I think, for starting at 300 or 350, maybe. Maybe 300 for the smaller version. And it's pretty much the same exact thing as a Series 5, except you don't have the always on display, which is kind of a controversial feature right now. So that's what I recommend. The Best, thank you for that $2 super chat. They said, "Have you ever done a Hackintosh?" I never have. I remember when they were kind of a popular thing back when I was young, and they never appealed to me because the reason why part of the reason why I loved Apple products so much was the hardware was designed so well. And the Hackintoshes, the hardware, it didn't look good. It looked cheap. It looked like it didn't belong with the software. So it never really appealed to me, even though they are cheaper than Apple hardware. I just always felt like it was worth getting Apple products because the hardware is just, it's unmatched. Seven, I don't know if I have ever seen you donate before. Thank you for that $5 super chat, Seven. They said, "A small donation to encourage you to keep making videos. Not only are they interesting, they calm me down when I'm feeling anxious." I really appreciate that, Seven. That's very, very nice. That makes me feel good. Daniel C., our moderator, thank you for that $2 super chat. They said, Discord. Yeah, don't forget about our Discord server if you're not already part of it. It's where we talk to each other, and I answer your question every week after this live stream. One question per person. And he said I'm the only moderator here. Yeah, it's where we have 4 moderators, but Daniel C. is the only one with us tonight. So thank you, Daniel. I appreciate that. Dopey Kitty said, "How long have you been in Japan?" I've been here since October 4th. So I've been here about a month now. Jonathan Honeywell, thank you for that $3 donation. He said, "Tips on getting a good seal on the AirPods. I can't." The only thing you can do is try each size. Like, try each size and just make sure you push them into your ear and they are like in your ear. It should feel like you're wearing earplugs. I mean, they go deep into your ear canal. And then once you do that and they're in there and you can shake your head and they don't fall out, then try the test and it should pass. I mean, if it doesn't, that would be weird. Try that with each size. And if they don't fit, I would actually take them back to the Apple store and talk to someone at the Genius Bar and have them sort of walk you through the process of trying to test each size out. It may be that you just don't have the ears to accommodate AirPods, but that would be strange. So if try that and then try to go to the Apple store. Gabriel Martin said, "What year do you think will we get rid of the notch?" I think next year the notch will get a little bit smaller, and then I think 2021 it's going to be the same size, and then I think 2022, maybe 2023, Apple will get rid of the notch altogether. So I think we still have a good 4 years or 5 years until that happens. Emperor Cyber said notch or hole punch. Definitely notch. For some reason, the hole punch cameras, it like triggers some OCD thing because there's like just a little gap above that hole punch of just random pixels. It doesn't really do anything. They don't serve a purpose. They're just always there. And it really bothers me. I just want to push that hole punch up into the bezel and just make it seamless. I definitely prefer a notch. I think Samsung did the hole punch design just to differentiate themselves from Apple and just to say that they didn't do the notch because everyone else was doing it. Google was doing it, Huawei was doing it, the Nexus was doing it. And so I think Samsung just wanted to be like, oh, we made fun of you for the notch, but we still technically don't have a notch. We have a hole punch. Because Samsung is petty like that. Boj said, do you hate Android? What do you think about it? No, I don't hate Android. I don't hate Windows. It's just not my preference in an operating system. And your preference depends on what you prioritize in a product. If you want to fiddle with advanced settings, if you want to customize the skin of your operating system, if you want to be able to like run emulators on your phone, those are things that Android does, and those are things that iOS can't do, or at least can't do easily. But there's trade-offs to that. There's trade-offs to battery life. When you run an emulator, it kills your battery life. There's trade-offs because developers don't make as many apps or as many high-quality apps because the operating system is so fragmented across thousands of different devices that have different technologies and different displays and different processors. And there's a trade-off when it comes to performance. I mean, Android, like Samsung smartphones, on paper have like more powerful processors or they have more RAM. But when it comes to performance, they're slower than the iPhone because Apple has optimized their silicon, their software, and their hardware to work together to be efficient to save battery life while also outperforming its competition. So it depends on the type of consumer you are. As we all know, Apple makes products for the everyday person. They don't make products for techies. I think I missed a super chat. I missed a couple. Nathan Gibson, thank you for your $2 UK super chat. They said, have you tried TWS i7 fake AirPods? Yeah, I actually have a product review of the TWS i7s on my channel. It's one of the first headphones that I reviewed. And it did really well. I think it has almost 1 million views right now. And that's why I kept reviewing headphones. Like, for some reason, headphones reviews get a lot of views, and I really enjoy doing them. And I'm actually reviewing a couple more pairs of wireless headphones right now that I'm gonna publish a review of in the next couple weeks. And I have to say, it's pretty amazing. I'm kind of impressed by how these third-party companies have developed technology that's virtually as good as the first generation AirPods just a few years after their release. I mean, it's kind of incredible how quickly they caught up. And they're selling them for like a quarter of the price. The best. Thank you for that $5 super chat. That's your second one of the night. I appreciate it. They said, when do you think Apple will release a 5G iPhone? Well, first we have to have a real, true 5G network infrastructure. I think AT&T said they have 5G, but it's not 5G infrastructure. It's just sort of like some alteration to their 4G networks. So I don't think anyone has a true 5G network in the US right now. I think there's one in the UK or something. But right now I have mixed feelings on 5G. I think it's the right way to go. You know, it's an improved network, but you have to consider battery life. You have to consider things that I think Apple is considering right now. And Apple is not worried about saying, oh, we have a 5G phone, like Huawei said, oh, we have a 5G phone. They're worried about what the experience is going to be like for the consumer. And just like when the first iPhone came out back in 2007, 3G networks were a thing, but Apple didn't put 3G on the first iPhone because they were prioritizing battery life over speed. So I think we might see something like that with the transition to 5G. I think Apple might be a little bit late to the game, but it's not because they're not trying or they're not thinking about it or they're not doing it. It's just because they want to make sure with the transition to 5G, there's no compromises that will hinder the user experience. They also said, what do you think about the T-Mobile and Sprint merger? Yeah, I hope it's a good thing. It's always kind of worrying to see like a monopoly get even more monopolized. Like in the US, we only had like 4 carriers, and even T-Mobile was using Sprint's towers. So T-Mobile didn't really have their own infrastructure. So it was really kind of 3 companies. And now it will be 3 companies with the merger. So I don't know. Sheldon Williams, thank you for your $2 super chat. They said, what are some of your favorite subreddits? I love the Apple subreddit. I love the I like the Ask Reddit subreddit. I like I really don't know, because when I go to Reddit, I don't go to like specific subreddits. I just sort of go to the homepage and just read what's trending. So I kind of see a lot of content from a whole bunch of different subreddits. That random man said, did you meet Tim Cook when you were in New York City? No. So if you guys didn't know, I was in New York City for the reopening of the Fifth Avenue Apple Store, the glass cube. And that's where I got the footage for the video that I posted a couple weeks ago or a few weeks ago, history of the Fifth Avenue Apple Store. And when I was there, Tim Cook was there also. And Deirdre O'Brien was also there, the head of retail. And I didn't get to meet him, although I just saw him. And I kind of waved at him. But only the first like 10 to 15 people who were waiting in line overnight got to actually like shake his hand and take a picture with him. The best, thank you for that $3 super chat. They said, how long do you stream for? I usually stream for an hour. Leonard said, have you ever been to Germany? No, I've only been to South Korea and Japan. Jay Joss said, what is the best MacBook to buy? I was thinking about getting one soon. I think right now you can find some good deals on the 2018 MacBook Air, the MacBook Air that was released last year. If you go to swappa.com or eBay, I think you can find one, for a relatively good price, and they're really good machines. I really like those MacBook Airs, so I would recommend looking at that. Diagonal said, what about the in-display fingerprint sensor and in-display camera? Yeah, there have been some rumors that Apple's working on an in-display fingerprint reader, but I don't think they're going to use that instead of Face ID. I think they're going to continue to have Face ID alongside a fingerprint reader. And I think that'll just make the iPhone more secure, because not only will you unlock it with Face ID, but then as you're using your phone and tapping on the screen, it's sort of reading your fingerprint to make sure it's you that's still using it. And then in terms of an in-display camera, I don't know if they're going to do that, or if they're just going to be able to miniaturize the camera system, like the Face ID system, to put it in the bezel of the phone instead of having a notch. Slightly Below Savage, thank you for that $3 super chat. They said, do you support dolphin abuse? I don't know if this is a meme. I don't know if you're being serious. But if it is a meme, let me know, because I've never heard of it. Lorenzo said, when will Face ID be faster? Well, Face ID already got faster with iOS 13, and I think it was noticeably improved. But I think Apple's going to continue to obviously improve on it and iterate. So hopefully the 2020 iPhones, Face ID will be even faster. Simply Sarah said, have you ever tried to get tickets? It's good to see you this week, Sarah. You always ask good questions. She said, have you ever tried to get tickets to WWDC? I've never tried, because they sell out in they used to sell out in like an hour, but now they're doing like a lottery thing. I never tried to get tickets because they cost like $2,500, and then you have to pay for the flight, and then you have to pay for a hotel. So it can be like a $4,000 or even $5,000 trip in total out of my own pocket. And I'm not even like a developer, because WWDC is more geared toward people who develop for the Mac or iPad or iPhone, and I don't. So the sessions there, I don't know if they would really be relevant to what I do. The only thing I'm interested in, obviously, is watching Tim Cook on stage introduce new products. I think that would be awesome. But I don't want to pay $5,000 to do it. And what I found out is YouTubers who go to WWDC, who get invited, like MKBHD, like iJustine, like Jonathan Morrison, they pay for their own ticket. Like, Apple does not cover the airplane or the hotel or the ticket. They just get invited. Like, I thought that was kind of crazy. I thought for sure Apple would pay for them, but they don't. And that kind of disappointed me. So, someone asked me, do I listen to K-pop or J-pop, since I've been to both places? I don't. I like alternative American music for the most part. Nathan said, I've been searching for your background theme song for so long. What's its name? It's literally called Free Beat 2014 by D's Tunes. And it's like royalty-free, Creative Commons license. You can Google that, and then you can use it for whatever you want. Master Dest said, any plans on making a history of Apple headphones? Yeah, actually, I started to make that video, history of Apple headphones, and I got kind of discouraged because I could not find a official Apple stock photo of the original iPod headphones. Like, I could not find it. And I've never had that problem before. I'm usually pretty good at being resourceful and finding the images I need at the right angles and the right quality. But for the life of me, I could not find a picture of those headphones, and I looked for like 45 minutes. And I could not find a good picture. So I don't know if I'll be able to. I may have to take a different approach to how I do the video if I do it. But I would like to make that video. For anyone asking me if a certain product is worth buying in 2019, my buying advice when it comes to Apple products is, what's your budget, and buy the best you can for your budget. So if you have $400 and you're looking for an Apple Watch, buy the best Apple Watch you can with that $400. So that means maybe a used Series 4. If you have $500 to buy an iPhone, buy the best iPhone you can with that. That's always my advice. Sarvesh Bikun, thank you for that $2.79 Canadian super chat. They said, what advantages will micro LED bring to the iPhone? That's a good question, and I have read a couple articles on micro LED. It's still like an emerging technology, but I'm pretty sure it will have a better contrast ratio than OLED, and it will not have any burn-in issues. And I think it's even more efficient power-wise. It's more power efficient. I think those are the benefits. There may be more. If you guys know, leave them in the chat so Sarvesh can see them. But I'm really excited for the technology, and I think Apple's going to bring it to the Apple Watch first. John said, have you thought of making a slideshow on Apple Pro products? I never thought about that. I guess I could. Like, history of every Pro Apple product. I'll think about it. Diagonal said, is it normal that Apple made the iPhone 11 with an LCD display? It was to save on price. It was to save on cost. And I think for most users, they won't really be able to tell a difference between the LCD display Apple used on the iPhone 11 because it is a good quality display. They won't be able to tell much of a difference between it and the OLED displays on the iPhone 11 Pros. So I think for the market that Apple's targeting with the iPhone 11, it's the right move. Now, as OLED displays become cheaper over time, they may end up putting one in the sort of budget version or the entry-level iPhone model. But I definitely can tell a difference. I like my OLED displays because the blacks are like perfectly black and there's no light coming through. And I can even tell a difference using my iPad because it's an LCD display. The Best, thank you for that $2 super chat. They said, what was your least favorite iPhone? My least favorite iPhone, I I wouldn't really say I have a least favorite, but when the iPhone XS was announced, it was the most disappointed I've ever been with an iPhone release because it didn't have very many upgrades at all. I mean, it was the most disappointing iPhone upgrade in history, which is why I told a lot of people, like, if you're going to buy an iPhone right now and the XS had just been announced, I told almost everyone to buy an iPhone 10 unless you want the large display of the XS Max. Then buy the iPhone 10 because it's essentially the same exact iPhone. Yeah, someone said they recently moved from a Pixel 2 XL, which has an OLED display, to an iPhone 11, and they said, not many complaints here. Sometimes I miss OLED, but it's not a huge deal. That's Justin Sargood. Yeah, I think most people feel that way. It's not a huge deal. I think that's part of the reason why the iPhone 11 is selling so well. It's $50 less than the 10R was. So it's the first time the iPhone has had a price reduction in history. And they focused on the features that matter most to users, which is the camera system, which is battery life, which is performance. And the iPhone 11 it excels in all those categories. Because really the only difference between the iPhone 11 and iPhone 11 Pro camera systems is that third telephoto lens that the 11 Pro has, which means you can do a 2 times optical zoom. And I think a lot of people don't need a 2 times optical zoom, so they don't miss that on the iPhone 11 either. And I think that's why people are saying this year's iPhones, it really makes sense for more people to buy the cheaper one. Like, there's not as much of a reason to get the more expensive premium iPhone 11 Pros because they don't have as much to offer as they used to, which I think is a good thing. Review. Thank you for that $2 super chat, and he used a super sticker. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but there are now super stickers available as part of your super chat, I think. And that feature was just added, I think, a few days ago. Firas Abueda, thank you for that $2 super chat. They said, "Where is TitanTube?" Is that a user? Titan? Oh, TitanTube. Yeah, I don't know. Guess he didn't make it this week. Lorenzo Vergara said, "When do you think iOS will be redesigned like iOS 7 was?" I don't really know. I don't really think there's a reason for it to be redesigned anytime soon. I think what's more likely to happen is that they're going to sort of improve the functionality of the operating system instead of the appearance. So maybe the icons will be like live icons where it shows us some kind of information up to date. So we don't have to, it's sort of like a preview of the app or something. But I don't think they're going to redo the user interface anytime soon. The Best, thank you for that $2 super chat. They said, if you had to get an Android, what would it be? Yeah, so Someone, I always forget who it was, recommended the OnePlus smartphone because he said it was incredible hardware, almost as good as his iPhone, and it's the best Android hardware he's ever used. So if I were to do like a 30-day challenge where I use an Android instead of an iPhone for 30 days and then report on my experience, I would use a OnePlus smartphone. Jason Nori said, "Do you watch American Horror Story?" No, I do not. I really don't watch any TV series. I'm more of a movie person. The Bam Bam said, "Do you believe the rumors that the iPhones will be more expensive due to the new design next year?" Um, I really hope not. I really hope Apple doesn't increase the iPhone's price for a very long time because it jumped so quickly from the standard like $750 iPhone 7 to the $1,000 iPhone 10. I hope they don't increase the price, and I don't think they will. Nick Brito said, "When is the next voting poll coming?" Um, I have two more topics to do. Why iPhones are getting bigger, and what was the other topic? There's a third. Once I get through those two videos, then I will post a new voting poll with 4 new topics that you can vote on. Tech Geos said, "Is 8 gigabytes of RAM enough for editing 1080p video in Final Cut Pro?" I mean, you'll be able to do it. You will be able to do it. You may have some lagging, you may have some hangups. It may not be a smooth editing process, but it is possible. Even on my 2017 MacBook Pro, I think it has 16 gigabytes of RAM. I think. Maybe it has 8. No, I'm pretty sure it has 16 because it's the 15-inch model. It still can run into some hangups when I'm editing 1080p in Final Cut Pro. That's why I was looking forward to a new 16-inch MacBook Pro that I could have bought, but we didn't see it in October when we thought we would. Yeah. But yeah, video editing is just really a very resource-heavy process that just really tests the limits of any machine. Gabriel Martin said, "When will you date iJustine?" Well, if you can set us up together, that would be very much appreciated. Let her know. She probably doesn't even know I exist at this point. Sean said, "Do you think Steve Jobs could have lived?" No one's ever asked me that before. That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, he died from his pancreatic cancer that got really bad because he ignored it for so long, going on, fruit diets or vegetable diets to try and kill the cancer. So maybe, probably, he could have lived longer had he gotten the surgery when he should have, because he waited to get the surgery until it like spread to different parts of his body. It got much worse, and then he couldn't get rid of it. Even with the surgery, it just gave him a little bit more time. So yeah, it's sad to think about. Young Llama said, "Why does Apple keep putting out the same stuff? The Apple Watch Series 4 is literally the same thing except for the always-on display. And the difference from the 10R and 10S is the camera. Well, I think you're talking about the Series 5 Apple Watch has the always-on display. Yeah, it was a very small update. I mean, Apple is updating the Apple Watch every year, and this is the way it's always been. Just like with the iPhone, there was the 3G and then the 3GS, and the only difference was a more powerful processor and a better camera. I mean, that was it. It's always been that way, even with the Apple Watch, even with iPods. You just can't expect a huge upgrade for every product every year. I mean, it takes time to develop technology and to develop products. So, I mean, that's how it is with every tech company. Simply Sarah said, "Did you apply for Vlog University with iJustine?" I did not. I actually I saw like a post from her about that, and it's interesting. I'm just not a vlogger. like I'm not a vlogger. I don't think I ever will vlog, but if I ever do, I'm sure that would be a good tool for me to use. Jay Brown said, "Have you watched any of the TV shows on Apple TV?" No, I have not seen any of the episodes. I just I got access to it obviously when it went live because I had bought an iPhone 11 Pro, and so I get a year of Apple TV for free, and they really didn't have that much stuff. But what I do want to watch is that elephant movie. They have an original movie that got pretty good reviews about like a family of elephants or something, like a documentary, and I want to watch that sometime. Mustafa said, "Hey Greg, would you like to have a Lamborghini Hurricane Performance?" I don't even know what kind of Lamborghini that is. Honestly, I'm not into cars. I just bought a Tesla Model 3 like a month ago before I came to Japan, and it's just sitting in my garage right now, plugged in. I'm not a car person, but I love technology. So when Tesla came out with the Model 3, and it was more of a laptop, more of a computer than it was a car, that's when I got really interested. And I thought, okay, this is the future. This is what cars should do. This is what they should look like. This is how they should work. They should not have engines. It should not take gasoline. It should be electric. That's when it kind of spoke to me. But gasoline cars, like typical supercars or stuff, like, yeah, it looks cool. Like a Lamborghini looks cool. But it's not something I would ever want to own. Robert Tran said, "Where do you live?" I'm guessing Italy. Well, right now I'm in Japan, but I live in America, in Ohio. Nathan Gibson said, "How old were you when you got your first iPhone?" Well, my first iPhone was the iPhone 5, and that was released in 2011. So that means I was... How old was I in 2011? I was 18 years old, I think. Gabriel Martin said, "Why is iTunes still alive in iOS 13? They killed it in Catalina. Why not kill it on iOS 13? It's not on iOS 13. There's nothing called iTunes on iOS. It's called Music. And it's called Music now on Catalina, so it's more streamlined. iTunes does not exist anymore. Seon YT said, "Don't leave your Tesla like that. The battery will die." Well, if you're going to leave your Tesla for a long period of time, like for months, it's recommended by Tesla, per the manual, to keep it plugged in with the battery level at 60%, because you can actually customize where you want the battery to stay. You can charge it to 90%, 80%, 70%, 60%, but you want to keep it at 60%, keep it plugged in, and then it's okay to be stored for months and months and months. It's not going to have any harmful effect on the battery. Timmy Tomato Paste said, "Do you like the Samsung Galaxy Fold?" Um, I think it's an interesting concept. I think Samsung, their execution was poor. I think that's already proved to be the case with its failed launch. I mean, the fact that they sent out a couple dozen review units and like 5 or 6 of them broke within the first 2 days of use. I mean, that is incredible. I mean, that's an incredible quality issue that I cannot believe was not recognized before they started sending these things out to people. I mean, people criticize Apple for like the antenna issue on the iPhone 4, for the bending thing on the iPhone 6, and then Samsung does that and it's the worst thing ever. Like, not only did the Galaxy Note 7 explode, like literally explode, and then they come out with the Galaxy Fold that breaks after 2 days. So what Samsung's problem is that they rush things because they want to be the first. They want to be the first company to have a smartwatch, and it failed. They want to be the first company to have a foldable smartphone, and then, it failed. Now I think the Galaxy Fold, is it on sale already? I think it's already on sale. I'm not expecting it to sell well because it's $2,000. The inherent problem with the Samsung Galaxy Fold is that it's an Android tablet. And there's a reason why Android tablets only account for like 20% of the tablet market, and the iPad is like at 70%. It's because iPads are way better than Android tablets. Android tablets suck. The third-party app marketplace sucks. The performance sucks. The support sucks. So the question is, why would you want to always have an Android tablet in your pocket? Why would you always want to carry one around? And then when it comes to using the Galaxy Fold like a smartphone, it sucks because the display is 4 inches. The display is 4 inches on a phone that's huge. It has the footprint and the thickness and the weight of a tablet, but it's a 4-inch screen if you're using the smartphone. So it doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand what would be functional about about the Galaxy Fold. I don't understand what is appealing about it. Unless you just love Android so much that you want a tablet, or you're okay with a 4-inch display, which takes us back to like, the iPhone 5. It takes us back to 8 years ago, which I do not understand. I prefer Huawei's approach with their Mate 10 or Mate X folding phone. I think that is a much better implementation. I think Microsoft's Neo devices are a much better implementation than Samsung. And I'm interested to see what Apple does, because I think Apple is experimenting with foldable iPhones. And if they do it right, if they come up with a really good execution, I think they will bring it to market. Ryan Cho said, actually, the Galaxy Fold is selling well. I'll have to look into that. Basically sold out in many countries. The question is, how many do they make? Also, Android tablets don't have terrible performance. Maybe the most expensive ones don't, but if you're taking the Android market as a whole and comparing them to the iPad, I would challenge you to find one that can perform the way an iPad does. And considering expensive Android tablets are the same price as iPads, it kind of doesn't make sense to buy one unless you just hate iOS so much that you don't want to use an iPad. I mean, there's a reason why there are so many Android users that have iPads. I mean, even they recognize that the tablet market on Android is lacking. All right, guys. So I have been on for over an hour. I'll answer one more question, and then I will sign off. Nick Brito said, have you invested in Apple? If so, then have you had a good return, and should I invest in Apple myself? This is my advice when it comes to investing. It's very hard to outperform the market. And when I say the market, I just mean as a whole, the stock market, as it increases year after year. It's very, very hard to outperform, which is why some of the smartest investors, including Warren Buffett, will tell you to invest in index funds. Don't worry about investing in specific companies, just invest in index funds, and it will grow at the same pace as the market. You'll beat inflation, and you'll have a diversified investment portfolio. You won't have all of your money caught up in one or two companies, and then where the risk is super high, because if one company does badly, you just lost a lot of money. So I always recommend index funds through something like Vanguard, who is like a trustworthy company, or I think they're a nonprofit like group. I'm not sure if they're even technically a company. But that's my advice. I wouldn't put all my money into Apple or any company. I just think that's not good investment advice. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching the live stream. Thank you for watching my videos. And don't forget, if you didn't get your question answered, join our Discord server. And there I will be on right after this live stream ends. I'll take one question per person. I'll answer all of them in a Q&A video and then post that video on the Discord server. So make sure you join if you're not already with us. Again, thank you so much for joining. And we have a super chat from The Best. They said, do you think Apple will ever make a console grade desktop? Also, do you think Apple will make a speaker? A console grade desktop, like a game console? I don't think Apple's gonna make a game console. Do you think Apple will make a speaker? They did make a speaker. It's called HomePod. And I think they're going to keep improving it. I don't think they're going to discontinue the HomePod. I think it's selling good enough for them to continue making it. They may make a more affordable version, but when it comes to speaker quality in Apple products, they do an extremely good job. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a great weekend. And don't forget about the Discord server. All right. I'll see you next week.